In the biggest crossover since the Jetsons and the Flintstones, I am here with YouTube star, the part-time critic, Kyle Lehman, exploring the United States Air Force Museum. We're going to learn about the history of flight. We're going to learn about the history of warfare. And you know what? We're going to have a good time doing it too.
Far behind the enemy lines. The American-built PH-4 began arriving at the front in reachable numbers in August 1918. Most of them were built being behind. A total of 1,215 was
This entire section of the museum explores early aviation from the Wright brothers through World War I. Just the advancements from learning how to fly to, within a few years, teaching people how to kill one another with them. Planes are great, but what's better for me is the autogyro, the forbidden offspring of a plane and a helicopter. Now in World War II, this is the flag that flew on the USS St. Louis. It's an idea of the kind of aircraft were there at Pearl Harbor. The American response to Pearl Harbor was the Doolittle raid, which American bombers took the unprecedented step of taking off from aircraft carriers to run a bombing raid on Tokyo. They used this plane, B-25. To be able to take off from an aircraft carrier on something like this would have been unheard of, let alone coming home. So that's why after they bombed Japan, they couldn't turn around and come back home. So instead they flew on to mainland China, which was of course an ally of the United States during the Second World War. A lot of attention is rightfully given to the role that women played, particularly on the home front in World War II, but not as much as celebrated about the important role they played in non-combat roles, supporting the Air Force, the Navy, and the Army. That's proved crucial in winning the war. So this is a highlight right here. This is the B-29 Super Fortress, but this in particular, Bockscar, is the plane that dropped the second atomic bomb, Fat Man, on Nagasaki, that ultimately brought World War II to an end. Here is a replica, obviously, of the bomb. You can see why it was called Fat Man. Here, of course, is a replica of Little Boy, dropped by the Enola Gay on Hiroshima, the first atomic bomb used in warfare. There's a look at some of the uniforms, some of the combatants in World War II, the Americans, British, the Brazilians, but you didn't know about that. Of course, the German Luftwaffe, the Royal Italian Air Force, the Japanese, and what I just learned, did not know, the Mexican Air Force that did, in fact, fly in support missions for the Allies during World War II. The next section of the museum highlights aircraft from Southeast Asia, Vietnam, as well as Korea. You notice pretty quickly all the aircraft get a whole lot bigger. Let's go in this B-29. Ugh. Oh my gosh. Not built for comfort. Here in the Cold War section, so many of these bombers are focused on nuclear deterrent, all finding more efficient ways to deliver a nuclear payload, including this forerunner to the cruise missile, and all of these with the capability of delivering a nuclear weapon to the communists. When it comes to pure cool factor, there is nothing that can compare to the SR-71 Blackbird. Granted, I don't know a whole much about aviation. This has to be one of the coolest Cold War era aircraft the United States ever commissioned. All right, this exhibit is best suited for agile, sure-footed children. It's an F-16 simulator. Kyle got in there. I'm gonna get in here. Nope. And easy peasy. Right at home. There we go. Bang bang. See, anyone who ever doubted whether or not the United States government, and for that matter the Canadians, had flying saucers, behold. Here's the highlight for me. Air Force One. So 8 sitting presidents used this particular Air Force One. Witness to some of the most important events in American history. Let's go inside. All right, here we go. Much more narrow than I imagined. Golly. This plane took Kennedy to Berlin, to Dallas. Brought his casket back home. Nixon to China. Boarding the plane used by President Eisenhower. Definitely not as comfy as Air Force One, but by 1950 standards, it's state of the art. This is the plane of one of my favorite presidents, Harry S. Truman, the Independence, named after his hometown in Missouri. It's really at the beginning of presidential air travel.